Welcome to Channel 3, The Farm Show. This is the first in a series of shows that we hope to do for you about farming in the lakes area. Today we're starting off with John Peters. John is owner of Red Barn Greenhouse, Butler, Minnesota. And for you, those of you who don't know where Butler is, north of New York Mills?
12 miles.
12 miles. John's got a greenhouse business going, which you've been running for how many
10
years?
10
years
now.
already. And we're in one of his 4 barns, I believe you have. And we're in early April, so things are just getting started here. Got some really nice colors going in here. So what have we all got here, John?
We try to have a good selection of all kinds of flowers. I mean, everything from your normal bedding plants, you know, your petunias, your marigolds, on up to the geraniums, exotics, different stuff. We try to give the customer an excellent selection so that they can plant their flower beds and gardens, get all kinds of color. We bring in new stuff every year and hang on to the old stuff. We do start vegetables. We'll have some heirloom vegetables, heirloom tomatoes, and your regular tomatoes. We pretty much can satisfy everybody's needs, whether they are a big-time gardener or someone who lives in an apartment that only needs a container.
What's an heirloom tomato?
An heirloom is one of the really old tomatoes. You know, some of those go back 100 years, 200 years, probably came from Europe. It's the same bloodline, so to speak, that has been carried on, that they don't change.
Okay.
They still come up with new varieties every year that people are, well, yeah, they're interested in trying different new things, but you have some people that want an heirloom tomato.
Okay. And the flowers, you mentioned that most of your vegetables you haven't started yet.
No, it's still early yet.
The flowers are the first thing. Tremendous variety in here. How do you decide which ones you're going to be planting?
Well, we look at the catalogs, and of course, when we did start this 10 years ago, we bought out a business that discontinued. They retired. We got the notebook from them on what they were producing. Since then, we have changed it quite a bit. I mean, we are getting stuff that's brand new that 10 years ago didn't exist. The customer nowadays is looking for the new stuff, something that no one else has, sharper colors, stuff that pops, stuff that's easy to take care of, stuff that can tolerate drought, wind. You know, people that live on the lakes, they're worried about the wind. We got a good selection that'll take care of everybody. What
are you shooting for an opening day for your retail this year?
We go by the calendar. You know, it might be nice outside, but we still have to go by the calendar, and usually it's the first weekend in May. Stuff can be ready to go prior to that, and yes, people want to come and have that first pick of stuff, you know, and get their hanging baskets, whatever. But with a lot of the flowers, the bedding plants, we'll do 2, 3, 4, 5 different plantings. So we will always have a plant that's starting to bloom.
Okay.
You know, the tomatoes, we do have, I think, 5 or 6 plantings with tomatoes. You mentioned the big ones already on the side over there. They're a patio tomato. That's for the person who doesn't have any garden area, who lives in an apartment, what have you. They still want that little bitty garden thing. They'll have a patio tomato. Gives them something to water, and they're going to get that first tomato of the season with some of the larger plants that we can grow for people.
See, most of your plants are in the little plastic boxes, and of course a large number of hanging plants, and you said you also do potting. People bring a pot to you.
Right. We do plant up containers to sell, but we have a big number of people that bring containers in, and we will plant them for them. You mentioned the containers. We like to keep things simple here. Most of what we grow, and half is from seed and half is from plugs that come in, we put in 2 different kinds of containers. Either a 4-pack or a 4-inch pot. Other than your hanging baskets or containers, everything is in the same size pot, and we try to keep that simple system simple by having the same price on every 4-inch pot and every 4-pack, no matter what's in it.
Okay.
There are exceptions. Yeah, you've got your geraniums, which are a little bit pricier. They're a little bit higher. But usually anything that you see, no matter what it is on the shelf, it's going to be priced the same. It keeps it simple and easy for the consumer. If they have a budget, know how much they can spend, it's easy to figure out what they're going to pick up.
Now, one thing, this is potting soil, correct?
Well, right.
Why don't you just go out into the back 40 and scoop up some topsoil?
You got it wrong there. It's not soil. It's called potting mix.
Okay.
In the potting mix we do use two different kinds. One is a very fine mix, which we use in the germinating of the seed. The other is a coarser material, gets used in everything else. It's a general purpose potting mix. All it is like peat, ground up plant products, vermiculite and perlite. That's all it is. There's no soil, there's no nutrients in it. Every time we water is when we are adding the nutrients.
Okay.
The soil out in the field has micronutrients, phosphorus, whatever in it, and then as you plant your crop, you fertilize. We fertilize with our water system. Okay. The potting mix is not a soil, it's nothing but a potting mix out of peat, vermiculite, perlite.
So why is that better than using field soil?
It'll hold the water, take the water easier. Your soil that's out in the field can get hard and compact in those containers. Okay. You know, it's a small container and we like to keep it loose so that you get your oxygen, so that it, you know, on days like today, you know, it's cool, there's no sun. If the stuff was watered recently, it'll stay wet for too long. If you get a long cloudy period, it's just like the corn that turns yellow in the wet spot in the field. That can happen to your plants in the greenhouse.
So it's easier to
So this stuff will air out, oxygen will always get in it, and when the person buys this and transfers it into the flower bed or into the container, it'll come out of that container easier. Okay. You know, it'll just plop right out, and then of course you'll see a nice healthy root system in there. They planted.
Okay. Well, today it's early April, and it's nice in here. What sort of a temperature? Where are we at here?
Well, we're at about 65 right now, and we like to keep our temperature between 60 and 70. When the sun comes out, it's difficult because there's a lot of heat in the sun this time of the year. If the sun would be out today, the ventilation system would be working with fresh air getting pushed in and exhaust fans sucking the warm air out. Whereas today with the clouds, our heat system is still giving us heat. It's 35 degrees outside. We're still heating it to that 60 degrees inside, even though it's in the middle of the day.
Earlier you were telling me how your heating system works, and this is interesting to me. You got what, 4 barns and heated off of one system?
Well, it's a hot water system. That hot water flows through the greenhouses through 8 what we call radiators, which are thermostatically controlled with a fan to blow the heat out when it calls for heat. When it warms up over that 65 degrees, that will shut off. As I was saying earlier, our hot water boiler, since we are out in the country, we do not have access to natural gas. We have to come up with our own heat source, and our system is a industrial sized boiler that takes either corn or wood pellets. If corn is high price, I sell my corn, I'll buy wood pellets. If corn is cheap, like it is this year, I sell myself corn to heat our greenhouses.
I didn't mention earlier, John also has a farm 3 miles away, so he's got beef cows and crops, grows hay to feed the cattle through the winter, and you mentioned the corn, soybeans, so you can use the
sunflowers,
you can use the corn to
right, it's a renewable fuel, either the pellets or the corn. It's a renewable fuel, and that's what we use to heat the hot water, which circulates through the houses, which is where we get our heat.
Okay, John, well, thank you for all this information about your greenhouse.
You're welcome.
People want to contact you, phone number, what do you got?
Phone for the Red Barn Greenhouse is in the book, or you can call us at home, but the phone number is my cell phone, so I'll always answer it. It's 385-2934. We are also on Facebook. You can just check Red Barn Greenhouse on Facebook. We're located 12 miles north of New York Mills on Highway 67. People know where we're at. If you get lost, ask, they'll find us.
Okay, thank you, John.
You bet.
Well, thanks for watching The Farm Show on TV3. We hope to see you next week. We'll be at a different farm.